I'm Keith Olbermann, and this is The Resistance. Any essential distinction between Donald Trump being merely an idiot marionette belonging to Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump behaving like an active Russian agent has been fully erased in the course of just over 1 week, and it has been erased by Donald Trump. When the damning stain of illegitimacy grows on this presidency week by week, hour by hour, when every moment of the political discourse of this nation becomes consumed by a debate over not whether he has been placed in office by the efforts of a foreign power, but a debate over how much of that subversion he knew in advance, he will have no one to blame but himself, because he cannot leave it alone. Because every move Donald Trump has made this year has been politically tone deaf. He could not make it look more like he is covering up something horrifying, if he hung a sign around his neck reading "cover up." He reeks of cover up. And in his neurosis, unsatisfied with having fooled some of the people some of the time, he has not merely ignored the option a real president would take, invite a full investigation. He has also waited weeks before trying the option a skilled traitor would take, shut up and change the subject to, say, Meryl Streep. And still, like a desperate child, he has to keep bringing this subject up, keep shouting those key words that he should never speak again: Russia, hacking, Assange, Putin, until he can presumably convince himself that he has convinced everyone everywhere that none of it is true, and until he can convince himself everyone now agrees with him about how strong and powerful he is and how he has now won. It is madness, and it will destroy him. December 29th. I think we ought to get on with our lives. I think that computers have complicated lives very greatly. The whole age of computer has made it where nobody knows exactly what's going on. But saying nobody knows exactly what's going on means even he doesn't know exactly what's going on, and he can't let anybody believe that. December 31st. I know a lot about hacking, and hacking is a very hard thing to prove, so it could be somebody else. And I also know things that other people don't know, and so they cannot be sure of this situation. Pool reporter: what do you know that other people don't know? Trump: you'll find out Tuesday or Wednesday. All we found out Tuesday or Wednesday was his willingness to publicly advertise his own paranoia. Tuesday, January 3rd, 8:14 p.m., the, quote, intelligence briefing on so-called, quote, Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. The delay was for a family emergency. The delay was of an intelligence briefing, the likes of which he has reportedly been skipping for 2 months. Wednesday, January 4th, 7:22 a.m. Julian Assange said a 14-year-old could have hacked Podesta. Why was DNC so careless? Also said Russians did not give him the info. Trump has here cited and given credibility to Assange of WikiLeaks, about whose activities Trump said in December 2010, "I think it's disgraceful. I think there should be like death penalty or something." Wednesday, January 4th, 8:27 a.m. Somebody hacked the DNC, but why did they not have hacking defense like the RNC has? And why have they not responded to the terrible things they did and said, like giving the questions to the debate to H? A total double standard. Media, as usual, gave them a pass. Trump has now justified international espionage against Americans, provided they are guilty of something, or provided he merely thinks they are guilty of something, especially if the espionage involves Julius Assange. Thursday, January 5th, 8:25 a.m., the dishonest media likes saying that I am in agreement with Julian Assange. Wrong. I simply state what he states. It is for the people to make up their own minds as to the truth. The media lies to make it look like I am against intelligence when in fact I am a big fan. He cannot leave it alone. He must not only erase what he himself has just done, he must find a new scapegoat. Thursday, January 5th, 7:24 p.m. How did NBC get an exclusive look into the top secret report he, Obama, was presented? Who gave them this report and why? Politics. He asks about NBC, but he does so in his standard way of scapegoating the media. Politically, scornfully, not seriously, not officially, not ominously. But the next morning, somebody else does all that for him. The tweet from WikiLeaks. The Obama admin CIA is illegally funneling top secret comment information to NBC for political reasons before POTUS even gets to read it. That tweet was from 5:48 a.m. January 6th. The next tweet is from 11:51 a.m. January 6th. Trump, I'm asking the chairs of the House and Senate committees to investigate top secret intelligence shared with NBC prior to me seeing it. He's now desperate enough to try to change the subject from his connection to WikiLeaks that he does not even seem to realize he has just connected himself to WikiLeaks. Perhaps somebody pointed that out to him too, because next, by phone, through the New York Times, China relatively recently hacked 20 million government names. How come nobody even talks about that? This is a political witch hunt. Then comes the actual briefing on the hacking, a briefing he had avoided, on hacking he had dismissed, from an intelligence community he had undermined, and after it comes a very, very cleverly phrased written statement. Quote, I had a constructive meeting and conversation with the leaders of the intelligence community this afternoon. I have tremendous respect for the work and service done by the men and women of this community to our great nation. While Russia, China, other countries, outside groups, and people are consistently trying to break through the cyber infrastructure of our governmental institutions, businesses, and organizations, including the Democratic National Committee, there was absolutely no effect on the outcome of the election, including the fact that there was no tampering whatsoever with voting machines, etc. Did you see what he did there? Merely through juxtaposition. The first paragraph describes a meeting with the intelligence community and its work. The second paragraph describes the conclusion that cyber attacks had no effect on the outcome of the election. Composed that way, it seems as if the intelligence community has concluded the hacking had no effect. But the conclusion is only Trump's. The intelligence community's report doesn't merely offer a different conclusion, it makes Trump's written statement even more deceptive and more malicious. We did not make an assessment of the impact that Russian activities had on the outcome of the 2016 election. The U.S. intelligence community is charged with monitoring and assessing the intentions, capabilities, and actions of foreign actors. It does not analyze U.S. political processes or U.S. public opinion. When that real version of what the report did not conclude was officially released, Trump looked like a liar. So, that night, back to blaming the victim. Friday, January 6, 10:53 p.m. Gross negligence by the Democratic National Committee allowed hacking to take place. The Republican National Committee had strong defense. But the intelligence briefing actually concluded the Republicans were also hacked by Russia. Russia just did not distribute its RNC data. So now change the story again. Saturday, January 7th, 6:56 a.m. Intelligence stated very strongly there was absolutely no evidence that hacking affected the election results. Voting machines not touched. He has just erased the subtle deception and misdirection in his Friday statement and replaced it with a flat-out, transparent, childish lie because he cannot leave it alone. Saturday, January 7th, 7:03 a.m. Only reason the hacking of the poorly defended DNC is discussed is that the loss by the Dems was so big that they are totally embarrassed. And here, Trump's story spirals out of anything resembling his own control of it. It has gone from Russian espionage to him invoking the hacking of voting machines to him disparaging half the country 13 days before his inauguration to Saturday, January 7th, 10:02 a.m. Having a good relationship with Russia is a good thing, not a bad thing. Only stupid people or fools would think that it is bad. We have enough problems around the world without yet another one. When I am president, Russia will respect us far more than they do now, and both countries will perhaps work together to solve some of the many great and pressing problems and issues of the world. In 3 hours and 28 minutes, Trump has gone from espionage to hacking voting machines to calling tens of millions of Americans fools and stupid to a call for cooperation with Russia that reads, bluntly, as if it were written in response to instructions from a blackmailer saying, you better fix this, Trump. You better make us look good, Trump. And so the desperation escalates still further. Sunday, January 8th, 1:56 p.m. Before I or anyone saw the classified and or highly confidential hacking intelligence report, it was leaked out to NBC News. So serious. The hacking itself, we ought to move on with our lives. It's only being discussed because he beat the Democrats. The possible leak about the hacking, so serious. And then Meryl Streep changes the topic for him on Sunday night at the Golden Globes, and the final one of his campaign managers changes it right back. Because he cannot leave it alone. The fact is, Kellyanne Conway said Monday, dismissing the need for a Russian hack investigation and suggesting Trump may roll back both President Obama's punishments of them and other U.S. sanctions against Russia. The Democrats became super duper interested in this entire issue after the election did not go the way they, quote, wanted and the way they expected. Trump, himself directly or via his mouthpieces, cannot leave it alone. Neither can he alter his personal connection to WikiLeaks. Again, that Saturday morning tweet. Intelligence stated very strongly there was absolutely no evidence that hacking affected the election results. But even without the Russian element, the hacking is WikiLeaks. And as a review of his speeches by thinkprogress.org showed, in the last 30 days of the campaign, Trump invoked WikiLeaks at least once every day for a total of at least 164 times in 1 month. October 10th, 2016 at Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks. And I said, write a couple of them down. Let's see. During a speech, crooked Hillary Clinton. Oh, she's crooked, folks. She's crooked as a $3 bill. Okay, here's one. Just came out. Trump is here interrupted by a chant of lock her up. Lock her up is right. He brought up WikiLeaks in a debate. He claimed the WikiLeaks product meant Hillary Clinton shouldn't be, quote, allowed to run for president. He complained in speeches and on Twitter, and it still sits there on his Twitter feed, that there was not enough coverage of WikiLeaks. October 12th, 9:46 a.m., very little pickup by the dishonest media of incredible information provided by WikiLeaks. So dishonest, rigged system. But now Trump says the hacking that produced the WikiLeaks revelations had no effect on the election. And of course, there is no way an American leader could ever compromise himself and suddenly be at Russia's beck and call. September 6, 2013, 9:02 a.m. I wonder how much our, quote, leaders have promised or given Russia in order for them to behave and not make the U.S. look even worse. How do we resist this monster? Just keep quoting him. Just keep mentioning Russia. Just keep remembering he cannot leave it alone. WikiLeaks is the hacking is Russia, and Trump is WikiLeaks. Resist. Peace.